Well, we're just about to wrap up our lessons on the immune system from Unit 3, Area of Study 2. Last session we pretty much finished cell-mediated immunity. Remember T helper cells and cytotoxic T cells? And how their area of specialty was detecting infections or cancers within cells by binding with MHC2 complexes, and then in the case of cytotoxic T cells, destroying them? Well, we're just about due to revise and summarise this very complicated topic, but I thought before we did that, we would pause for a bit to look at the big picture, because I know that many of you are probably starting to feel a bit frantic and ask, why are we learning this in so much detail? There are so many different types of immunity and different types of cells, and they work in so many different but very specific ways. How is this even relevant to real life? In the following interview that I've done with practicing veterinary scientist Dr. Khaled Ayubi, we will see how these tiny details that you're working so hard to understand in class relate directly with contemporary scientific research. The humble T cell could in fact be the key to unlocking a cure for some cancers in dogs. Talk about the regulation of cytotoxic T cells in class.
Okay.
Can you please tell us why, as a researcher, you were interested in how the body regulates the action of these cells?
Okay, well, cytotoxic T cells are dangerous cells, right, in the body. They're good at destroying other cells. And we're interested in them specifically because they might be the answer to how you can treat cancer, right? Because they can destroy cancer cells. But the body has a safety mechanism. Cancer cells are very similar to your normal cells. And so cytotoxic T cells are under the guidance of T regulatory cells. Basically, they're not allowed to run rampant. They're regulated by T regulatory cells. Otherwise, in a normal, healthy person, they could destroy your own body systems. But obviously, in a cancer patient, where they are potentially the answer to a cure, we want them to run rampant.
So you want to remove that safety net, that regulatory cell?
Yeah, we want to regulate the regulators. We want to remove the safety net temporarily and allow cytotoxic T cells to remove the cancer.
So how can you do this? How can you get rid of just those regulatory cells?
Okay, well, the main thing is determining, it really comes down to timing. We need to know when the T regulatory cells are around so we can target them and allow the cytotoxic T cells to do their job.
How do you know when they're around?
Well, the best way we know at the moment is by measuring a biomarker in the bloodstream. It's called CRP protein. It's an indicator of inflammation, and it's said to increase when T regulatory cell action is increased.
So, as a vet working in the clinic, how are you going to determine when this is occurring in a patient?
Well, as part of this study that we're doing, we have some specific lab equipment out the back. The aim is to take a blood sample from the patient either daily or every second day in a semi-regularly and measuring the CRP protein on our in-house machine and using that as an indicator of T regulatory cell action.
So when it reaches a certain level, then you know when to give the treatment?
That's the theory, yes. So the problem is we don't know what that level is. Because we're part of this study, we are blind to what the magic number is. And so the ASAP labs who collate everyone's results, they are the ones who tell us when to give chemotherapy.
And at the end of this whole trial, hopefully, like the reason that your vet clinic has agreed to this is that you want to discover a more successful chemotherapy protocol that helps save lives. Is that the ultimate goal?
Correct. We're trying to, chemotherapy is, no one likes to do chemo in people or otherwise, and so the aim of the game is when we are using chemotherapy drugs, is that we're using them at the most effective times and getting the best results for the patient.
T cells and cytotoxic cells and helper cells and schmelper cells. They're all things we need to know for the exam. Sure, you've heard that thousands of times already. What you might not have thought about before today is that through an understanding of concepts like cell-mediated immunity, scientists like Dr. Khaled and future scientists like yourselves are able to devise new strategies that can potentially save lives.